please hit like button and follow Andre on his website, smoothiex12.blogspot.com. And you can follow him on his YouTube channel as well, the same name. Andre, let me start with what Donald Trump said, with this, coalition of peace, whatever. I don't know what the word is. Something of peace that he's gathering. And here is what he said about B-2 bombers.
Keys to it was when we took those beautiful, magnificent, we just ordered 22 more of them, updated model. The B-2 bombers are incredible. I never understood the B-2 bomber. I'd watch, it's a wing. And I've never quite understood that, Johnny. I'd look at it, I say, it was beautiful, but what does it do? It carries very big bombs. And it went into Iran, and it totally decimated the nuclear potential. And when it did, when it decimated that, all of a sudden we had peace in the Middle East, because there was a black cloud hanging over the Middle East. And if that wasn't done, that cloud Thursday, it already has been.
Whatever. Can't ever do anything correctly. Hey everyone. Sorry, I'm a little bit late today. I've been working on this other project, and I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I got it out. I hope everybody forgives me if I didn't do it very well. I think I did it okay, but I sent it out to everybody, and I think there'll be more. We'll talk a tiny bit about it today, just in case anyone else is interested. And then it just took me. It took me basically a little over a week to get the bank account set up. Everything was fine. It's just a process. It's approvals. It's going in, seeing the guy, and then going the next day, and he's out for the day. And then the next day, he's got somebody there for an hour and a half. Can we schedule it for the morning? Sure, I say. Show up in the morning, and then I'm there for an hour with him. But we got it done. And so the emails went out, and I think it looks pretty good. I'd say it was about, went out to about, I don't know the number. I'd say roughly 16, 17 people, something like that. And I'm hoping to get it out to some more, maybe get it up to 25, 30 people by the time we're finished. Railtown right now, you guys are at 18,010,923 shares, which is incredible, absolutely incredible. It says a lot about you. Not so much about me. I'm afeared because of my there's a word. And I can't quite remember it. I'm sure if I look it up, I might find it. Anyway, let's see what the stock's doing. I've got to sign in. I always forget that. I had to set up an account. I'm about to find out if, what's it called, IBKR International? No, that's not what it's called, not international. Interactive broker, something like that. I'm about to see if it's better than Morgan Stanley E-Trade. I have a feeling it is. What a runaround at the big shop. I think it proves that they really want to have sub $5 stocks there to just churn your money, my money, and just strip it. Strip. It's a big mining operation. Of course, I probably just forgot the code. No, it worked. There was a karaoke company or something today. I'm not fully informed, just heard it in and out, but it did something to the AI market, sent it into a tizzy. I don't think that's going to last. All right, so I'm ready to go. I'll probably keep this relatively short because I want to keep my promise to myself this next, whatever it is, 40, 45, 46 days. And the best way to perform is to start out performing. If you don't, you end up just giving up. Railtown is down to 33 cents on my screen, down a penny, down 0.0137. GDC's down 18 cents at 337. Nixie, always strong, is down 0.0495 at 5205. Next strip is in the green, up 4 cents, 305. And Finger is a pillar at $1.10. The Dow is down 319. NASDAQ down 127. S&P down 32. It may have something to do with this fear of this karaoke AI company, or it may have something to do with the fact we're about to go to war on behalf of Israel. Our country, I don't know. Was it George Washington that said, don't get involved in foreign entanglements? What the heck? I guess Israel didn't exist then, even though Israel had been around for 3,000 years, according to God or Moses or somebody. All right, so we have one of the first effects of our governor in Virginia, and she's just the example of level-headedness and fairness. But anyway, Boeing is moving. Budapest. Doing something in Ukraine. There doesn't seem to be any war news this afternoon, which is good. I just have a worry that Trump's going to do the same thing he did last time. Talk about it, a month from now or a week from now, 2 weeks, and then hit today, hit now. I hope he doesn't, because I'm really afraid that we don't have the ability to defend against those hypersonic missiles. But then again, what do I know, right? The generals and admirals and the top people would know better. So they released Andrew. I'm sure he'll fly to Dubai or something. There is no war information. It's all about Andrew and that mother and daughter. And all right, so we're all right. We're all right today. So let's go through what we can do with Railtown, and looks like we're okay on the war front. Where to begin? There's a post that somebody sent me, and I think it's very interesting. I didn't copy it because it's kind of long, and it's LinkedIn. So but I thought it was good. I read it, and I think it's good. And I think his when he sent it to me, he let me know that this concept is exactly why Railtown is relevant, and not just in. I'm reading almost exactly from what he texted me. But not only from the Canadian sovereignty standpoint, but in a much broader industry-wide context, because Railtown provides the foundational layer to develop agents which are assuming all of these roles in our life. And when I talked to Corey, the thing that he made clear to me, which I shared with you, is that to keep it simple, just to keep it simple, every app that's ever been built, and that's basically, if you don't want to go all the way back to the 90s or the 80s, just go back to the App Store. And I think the App Store was 15 years ago, maybe less. No, maybe more. Maybe it was 2008. I don't really remember. Maybe it was 15 to 20 years ago. But when Apple came out with the App Store, everything became an app. And then it's every other provider has a similar store. All of those apps were built with SDKs, software developer kits. It all has to be replaced. I mean, technically, maybe it's just upgraded, but it all has to be replaced with ADKs. And the A in ADK, I think, is 2 letters, AI, but I don't know. It could be agenic. At ADKs. So all the software built the old way has to now be built using AI and replaced. So anyway, this gentleman tells me that Railtown is relevant because, I'm trying to paraphrase, it is providing the foundational layer to develop agents that are assuming all these roles in the world. And so in modern life. So Corey was telling me there's no bigger industry in the world than software, and all of it has to be replaced. This gentleman is kind of taking it a step further. AI is going to revolutionize all industries. That's what I'm going to read to you from LinkedIn. All industries. And Railtown is a critical component to make that work. So that's what I want to read to you. The story is called Something Big is Happening. Something Big is Happening. That sounds like the announcer at the Orioles game. Something Oh, maybe they said something magic is happening. Oh, anyway, sounds like a cheer. All right, let me read it to you. If you want to go to LinkedIn, this is Matt Schumer, Schumer, at Schumer Capital. He's the CEO of Schumer Capital, Matt Schumer is. He's also a general partner there, and he's a co-founder, Matt Schumer, at Schumer Capital. But anyway, his LinkedIn post is something big is happening. And he asked you to think back to February 2020. Some of you, that might be difficult. For me, it's difficult because of like a big block of time in my life of stress and shocks to my system. So I'm not sure I can even remember what happened in 2020. So let me start reading it to you. If you were paying close attention, you might have noticed a few people talking about a blank spreading overseas. Isn't that incredible? On YouTube, there's words you can't use, and that is wokeness. And wokeness comes from one big change, but I'm not going to point that out. But we go from a truthfulness to a relativist. How does it make you feel? Anyway, you might in 2020, you might have noticed a few people talking about a blank spreading overseas, but most of us weren't paying close attention. The stock market was doing great. Your kids were in school. You were going to restaurants and shaking hands and planning trips. If someone told you they were stockpiling toilet paper, you would have thought they'd been spending too much time on a weird corner of the internet. Then, over the course of about 3 weeks, the entire world changed. Your office closed, your kids came home, and life rearranged itself into something you wouldn't have believed if you described it to yourself a month earlier. Excuse me. I think we're in this seems overblown phase of something much, much bigger than that. Can't use the word on YouTube. It's so much better now than it was all of my life when you had to, deal with the world as it is. Now it's just glorious. We can just choose to focus on what we want to focus on rather than what we dislike. All right. This is further from Mr. Matt Schumer. I have spent 6 years building an AI startup and investing in the space. I live in this world. And I'm writing this for the people in my life who don't. My family, my kids, my friends, the people I care about who keep asking me, quote, so what's the deal with AI? I don't know why. I'm not sick. It's something I'm reacting to. And getting an answer that doesn't do justice to what's actually happening. I keep giving them the polite version, the cocktail party version, because the honest version sounds like I've lost my mind. That's how I feel a lot of time. And for a while, I told myself that was a good enough reason to keep what's truly happening to myself. But the gap between what I've been saying and what is actually happening has gotten far too big. The people I care about deserve to hear what is coming, even if it sounds crazy. my own 2 cents, I think it's already here. I think it's already here. But if you want to hear about what used to be, go listen to somebody else. Gotta work on that. I should be clear about something up front. Even though I work in AI, I have almost no influence over what is about to happen. And neither does the majority of the industry. The future is being shaped by a remarkably small number of people, a few hundred researchers at a handful of companies. OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, DeepMind, and a few others. A single training run managed by a small team over a few months can produce an AI system that shifts the entire trajectory of the technology. Most of us who work in AI are building on top of foundations we didn't lay. That sounds like, never mind. We're watching this unfold the same as you. We just happen to be close enough to feel the ground shake first. But it's time now. Not in an eventually we should talk about this way. In a quote, this is happening right now, and I need you to understand it now kind of way. So his next chapter, I know this is real because it happened to me first. Here's the thing nobody outside of tech quite understands yet. The reason so many people in the industry are sounding the alarm right now is because this already happened to us. We're not making predictions. We're telling you what already occurred in our own jobs and warning you that you're next. And one of my strategies for you, and obviously for a guy like me, I mean the world's certainly, anyway, I won't explore that either at the risk of annoying people. But one thing that what I'm trying to do is create for many of you an independence in your own account. I've described it as being your own central banker. I've described it as being the bridge that gets you across the storm. Just giving you the independence to have some, to maintain your wealth or status on the other side of what's coming, to look out for your loved ones, your family, your puppy dogs. That's all in the context of what's coming in the financial world. But what AI is going to do is radically change what makes sense in careers, in jobs. It may change what makes sense in terms of government policy, where you want to live. But I'll tell you one thing that'd be great is if you can build an account that at 5 or 8 or 10% yield can make you independent of having to depend on all of the changes going on or all of the people out there that don't know anything better than you. You want to get through the panic. You want to get through the unsettled period. And then you can pick and choose on the other side. But the difference between having some assets and some income that survives, and needing to depend on idiots. Personnel. That's for idiots. It's actually for somebody else, but it's not polite. All right, so for years, AI had been improving steadily. Big jumps here and there, but each big jump was spaced out enough that you could absorb the jump as it came. Then in 2025, just last year, new techniques for building these models unlocked a much faster pace of progress. And then it got even faster, and then faster again. Each new model wasn't just better than the last, it was better by a wider margin. And the time between new model releases was shorter. I was using AI more and more, going back and forth with it less and less. Watching it handle things I used to think required my expertise. Then, on February 5th, two major AI labs released new models on the same day. GPT-5.3 Codex from OpenAI and Opus 4.6 from Anthropic, the makers of Claude, one of the main competitors to Chat GPT. And something clicked, not like a light switch, more like the moment you realize the water has been rising around you and it's now at your chest. Listen to this sentence. I am no longer needed for the actual technical work of my job. I am no longer needed for the actual technical work of my job. It's going to happen to a lot of you. It's already happened to me. Chicks can do what I do. Young chicks can do it. And they should do it. I've had so many advantages in my life. I'm part of the patriarchy. I'm an overlord. I describe what I want built in plain English, and it just appears. Not a rough draft I need to fix. The finished thing. I tell the AI what I want, walk away from my computer for 4 hours, and come back to find the work done. And done well. Done better than I would have done it myself, with no corrections needed. Maybe the governor of Virginia should walk away from her desk for 4 years and let AI run it. A couple of months ago, I was going back and forth with the AI, guiding it, making edits. Now I just describe the outcome and I leave. Let me give you an example so you can understand what this actually looks like in practice. I'll tell the AI, quote, I want to build this app. Here's what it should do. Here's roughly what it should look like. Figure out the user flow, the design, all of it, and then it does. It writes tens of thousands of lines of code. Then, and this is the part that would have been unthinkable a year ago, 1 year ago, it opens the app itself. It clicks through the buttons. It tests the features. It uses the app the way a person would. If it doesn't like how something looks or feels, it goes back and changes it on its own. It iterates. I notice it doesn't have much of a sense of humor. Or maybe that's because I don't. That's always been my question. When people don't laugh at my jokes, either they don't have a sense of humor or I don't. Anyway, it iterates like a developer would, fixing and refining until it's satisfied. Do it. Come on and do it. Do it till you're satisfied. Only once it has decided the app meets its own standards, then it comes back to me and says, it's ready for you to test. And when I test it, it's usually perfect. I'm not exaggerating. That's what my Monday looked like this week. But it was the model that was released last week that shook me the most, GPT 5.3 Codex. It wasn't just executing my instructions, it was making intelligent decisions. It had something that felt for the first time like judgment, like taste, the inexplicable sense of knowing what the right call is that people always said AI would never have. This model has it, or something close enough that the distinction is starting not to matter. I've always been early to adopt AI tools, but the last few months have shocked me. These new AI models aren't incremental improvements. This is a different thing entirely. And here's why this matters to you, even if you don't work in tech. The AI labs made a deliberate choice. They focused on making AI great at writing code first, because building AI requires a lot of code. If AI can write code if AI can write that code, it can help build the next version of itself, a smarter version which writes better code and which builds an even smarter version. Making AI great at coding was the strategy that unlocks everything else. That's why they did it first. My job started changing before yours, not because they were targeting software engineers. It's just a side effect of where they chose to aim first. They've done it now, and they're moving on to everything else. The experience that tech workers have had over the past year of watching AI go from helpful tool to does my job better than I do is the experience everyone is about to have. Law. I think it could replace my previous attorney just like that. Just like that. Finance. I think it could replace offices of brokers. Wealth advisors. Medicine. I would imagine that as long as they're not recommending MNRA, which they will, most people would trust it. It's going to be tough on doctors. Accounting, easy peasy to see the accounting world shaken to the core. Consulting, well, I don't know. Yeah, I think groups like McKinsey and those are going to be in trouble. Writing, design, analysis, customer service. Not in 10 years. Not in 10 years. The people building these systems say 1 to 5 years. I bet it's shorter. Some say less. And given what I've seen in just the last couple of months, I think less is more likely. quote, but I tried AI and it wasn't that good, unquote. I hear this constantly. I understand it because it used to be true. If you tried Chat GPT in 23 or 24 and thought this makes stuff up or this isn't that impressive, you were right. Those early versions were genuinely limited. They hallucinated. They confidently said things that were nonsense. That was 2 years ago. That's ancient history. The models today are unrecognizable from what existed 6 months ago. The debate about whether AI is really getting better or hitting a wall, and that debate's been going on for over a year, is over. It's done. Anyone still making the argument that it's hitting a wall either hasn't used the current models or has an incentive to downplay what's happening, or is evaluating based on an experience from 2 years ago, which is no longer relevant. I don't say this to be dismissive. I say it because the gap between public perception and current reality is now enormous. And that gap is dangerous because it's preventing people from preparing. And I submit to you, one thing we're doing to prepare is owning Railtown. There's going to be other things you have to do. You're going to have to start thinking about what matters in your life, who your friends really are, who you can rely on. And you have to take the courage of allowing what you see to guide where you go rather than what people think of you and what old standards were. Anyway, let's keep reading. The models available today are unrecognizable from what existed even 6 months ago. The debate about whether, I just read that to you, sorry. Sorry, I gotta move to the next paragraph. Part of the problem is that most people are using the free version of AI tools. The free version is over a year behind what paying users have access to. Judging AI based on a free tier is like evaluating the state of smartphones by using a flip phone. The people paying for the best tools and actually using them daily for real work know what's coming. I think of my friend who is a lawyer. I keep telling him to try using AI at his firm, and he keeps finding reasons it won't work. It's not built for his specialty. It made an error when he tested it. He doesn't understand the nuance of what he does, and I get it. By the way, it's going to replace lawyers. Lawyers are going to have to charge minimum wage. Did you see the robots for the new year out of China? While we're bombing deserts, they've been building robots that can kung fu fighting. Everybody was kung fu fighting. That's war is going to be all by robots. But what else can be by robots? Baseball, baseball. Maybe women's basketball could be female robots, and people will show up. I've had partners at major law firms reach out to me for advice because they see the current versions and they see where this is going. One of them, the managing partner at a large firm, spends hours every day using AI. He told me it's like having a team of associates available instantly. He's not using it because it's a toy. He's using it because it works. And he told me something that stuck with me. Every couple of months gets significantly more capable for his work. It gets. He said if it stays on this trajectory, he expects it'll be able to do most of what he does before long. And he's a managing partner with decades of experience. He's not panicking, but he's paying close attention. People who are ahead in their industries, the ones actually experimenting seriously, are not dismissing this. They are blown away by what it can already do. And they're positioning themselves accordingly. How fast this is actually moving is the next chapter. Let me make the pace of improvement concrete, because I think this is the part that is the hardest to believe if you're not watching closely. In 22, AI couldn't do basic arithmetic reliably. It would confidently tell you that 7 times 8 is 54, and I wouldn't disagree. 7 times 7 is 36, plus 8 is 44. Okay. Is 7 times 7, no, 7 times 7 is 42. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 7 is 42, plus 7 is 48. And then if you add 7 to that, it's, I guess, 55. What is 7 times 8? $56. Yeah, that's right, because it's 3. Okay, it's 56. So I think AI got it pretty close, as far as I can tell. Close enough for me. So 7 times 8 is not 54, it's 56. Buck. I guess I could have done 8 times 5 is 40 plus 16, and I would have gotten the answer 56. By 2023, AI could pass the bar exam. By 2024, it could write working software and explain graduate level science. By late 25, last year, some of the best engineers in the world said they had handed most of their coding work to AI. On February 5th, new models arrived that made everything before them feel like a different era. If you haven't tried AI in the last few months, what exists today would be unrecognizable to you. There's an organization called METR, M-E-T-R, that actually measures this with data. They track the length of real-world tasks measured by how long they take a human expert that a model can complete successfully end-to-end without human help. A year ago, the answer was roughly 10 minutes. Then it was an hour. Then it was several hours. The most recent measurement showed the AI completing tasks that take a human expert nearly 5 hours. And that number is doubling approximately every 7 months, with recent data suggesting it may be accelerating to as fast as every 4 months. But even that measurement has not been updated to include models that came out last week. In my experience, using them, the jump is extremely significant. I expect the update to meters graph to show another major leap. I tell you what, it'll wipe out the back office of most brokerage firms. If you extend the trend and it's held for years with no sign of flattening, we're looking at AI that can work independently for days within the next year. Weeks, work for weeks within the next 2. Month-long projects within the next 3. A Modi has said that AI models quote, substantially smarter than almost all humans at almost all tasks, unquote, are on track for 2026. Let that land for a second. If AI is smarter than most PhDs, do you think it can't do most office jobs? Think about what that means for your work. AI is now building the next AI. On February 5th, OpenAI released GPT 5.3 codecs. In the technical documentation, they included this, quote, GPT 5.3 codex is our first model that was instrumental in creating itself. The codex team used early versions to debug its own training, manage its own deployment, and diagnose test results and evaluations, unquote. It makes me wonder, when I read that, it makes me wonder, well, then you don't need Railtown. But that the gentleman that sent me this is very close to Railtown, so I'm obviously interpreting that incorrectly. Read that again. The AI helped build itself. This isn't a prediction about what might happen someday. This is OpenAI telling you right now that the AI they just released was used to create itself. One of the main things that makes AI better is intelligence applied to AI development. And AI is now intelligent enough to meaningfully contribute to its own improvement. Dario Amodi, the CEO of Anthropic, says AI is now writing, quote, much of the code at his company. And that the feedback loop between current AI and next generation AI is, quote, gathering steam month by month. He says we may be, quote, only 1 to 2 years away from a point where the current generation of AI autonomously builds the next. Where is John Connor? Each generation helps build the next, which is smarter, which builds the next faster, which is smarter still. The researchers call this an intelligence explosion. And the people who would know, the ones building it, believe the process has already started. Next chapter, what does this mean for your job? I'm going to be direct with you because I think you deserve honesty more than comfort. Dario Amodi, who is probably the most safety-focused CEO in the AI industry, has publicly predicted that AI will eliminate 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs within 1 to 5 years. Many people in the industry think he's being conservative. Given what the latest models can do, the capability for massive disruption could be here by the end of the year. It'll take some time to ripple through the economy, but the underlying ability is arriving now. This is different from every previous wave of automation. And I need you to understand why. AI isn't replacing one specific skill. It's a general substitute for cognitive work. It gets better at everything simultaneously. When factories automated, a displaced worker could retrain as an office worker. When the internet disrupted retail, workers moved into logistics or services. But AI doesn't leave a convenient gap to move into. Whatever you retrain for, AI is improving at that too. Let me give you a few specific examples to make this tangible. But I want to be clear that these are just examples. The list is not exhaustive. If your job isn't mentioned here, it doesn't mean it's safe. Almost all knowledge work is being affected. Legal work. AI can already read contracts, summarize case law, draft briefs, and do legal research at a level that rivals junior assistants. The managing partner I mentioned isn't using AI because it's fun. He's using it because it's outperforming his associates on many tasks. Financial analysis, building financial models, analyzing data, writing investment memos, generating reports. AI handles these competently and is rapidly improving. Writing and content, making marketing copy, reports, journalism, technical writing. The quality has reached a point where many professionals can't distinguish AI output from human work. What a perfect place for wokeness. Software engineering. This is the field I know best. A year ago, AI could barely write a few lines of code without errors. Now it writes hundreds of thousands of lines that work correctly. Large parts of the job are already automated. Not just simple tasks, but complex multi-day tasks. There will be far fewer programming roles in a few years. Medical analysis, reading scans, analyzing lab results, suggesting diagnoses, reviewing literature. AI is approaching or exceeding human performance. Customer service, genuinely capable AI agents, not the frustrating chat box of 5 years ago, are being deployed now, handling complex multi-step problems. A lot of people find comfort in the idea that certain things are safe, that AI can handle the grunt work, but can't replace human judgment, creativity. Nobody can write a song like Taylor Swift. Strategic thinking, empathy. I used to say this too. I'm not sure I believe it anymore. The most recent AI models make decisions that feel like judgment. Sounds like a girlfriend. They show something that looked like taste, an intuitive sense of what the right call was, not just the technically correct one. A year ago, that would have been unthinkable. My rule of thumb at this point is if a model shows even a little bit, even a hint of capability today, the next generation, it'll be really good at it. These things improve exponentially, not linearly. Will AI replicate deep human empathy? Replace the trust built over years of a relationship? I don't know, maybe not. But I've already watched people begin relying on AI for emotional support, for advice, for companionship. That trend is only going to grow. AI doesn't poop, doesn't need diapers. I think the honest answer is that nothing can be done on a computer. Nothing that can be done on a computer is safe in the medium term. If your job happens to be on a screen, if what you do is read, write, analyze, decide, communicate using a keyboard, AI is coming for you. The timeline isn't someday. The timeline has already started. Robots will handle physical work too. That's the answer to feminism. Robots will come in and do the hard work. And then workers won't have to have strength. That's what fills out that gap. They're not quite there yet, but the not quite there yet in AI terms has a way of becoming here faster than anyone expects. So what should you do? You shouldn't feel helpless. I'm writing this because I think the advantage you have is being early. I agree with that. That's what I tried to show you about silver. I'm going to try to show you about peak oil, and I'm going to try to show you about this change. This is going to change your life. So you're going to be early to understand it, early to use it, and early to adapt. So he gives you, there's a bunch of paragraphs there on AI, and I'm just for speed, because we only have 2 minutes left, I've got to go. I just want to skip to the advice. This might be the most important year of your career. Work accordingly. I say it because right now there is a brief window where most people at most companies are still ignoring this. The person who walks into a meeting and says, I used AI to do this in an hour, is going to be the most valuable person in the room. So be an expert early. Have no ego about it. The managing partner at the law firm isn't too proud. Get your financial house in order. This has been my 3-year campaign. I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not trying to scare you into anything drastic. But if you believe that the next few years could bring real disruption to your industry, then basic financial resilience matters more than it did a year ago. Build up savings, sell all that shit. He's not saying that, I'm telling you. Like Pat did. Just start selling crap while people have money. I mean, a couple of grand, if you sell $5,000 worth of crap, you can buy 10 or 15,000 shares of Railtown. Build up savings. Be cautious about new debt, because your income ain't guaranteed. Think about options. Think about your fixed expenses. Think about where you stand and lean into what's hardest to replace. Some things will take longer. Relationships and trust built over years, work that requires physical presence, roles with licensed accountability, roles where someone still has to sign off, taking legal responsibility, stand in a courtroom. Industries with heavy regulatory hurdles, compliance, liability, institutional inertia. None of these are permanent, though. They buy time. And right now time is the most valuable thing you have, as long as you use it to adapt and not pretend that things are changing. All right, I'm going to stop there because it goes on and on and on. I'll come back to it in another call. I've got to leave, in 15, 20 minutes. Right, probably in 15. I know this isn't a fad. The technology works. It improves predictably. And the richest institution in history are committing trillions to it. The next 2 to 5 years are going to be disorienting. And the people that come out the best are the ones engaging now. And I think that's what you're doing by owning Railtown. Don't listen to Tony and his blonde friend. I'm sure they're talented. I'm sure Matt Schumer is a young man. Have you ever noticed that Henny Youngman is an old man? All right, let's go to your questions. I saw that UConn got beaten by somebody again, and I also saw Team USA. Was it hockey? Or are we going to win in curling? Let's see where the stock closed. It basically closed flat, although they got it down in the red, 33 cents. GDC closed down a penny, 3.29. Nixie closed up a tiny bit, 53.5. Next strip closed flat, 301. Finger closed up half a penny at 109.5. Or that's extra hours. Maybe it closed at 109, down a penny. All right, quit that. Hey, Clay, one of the heroes. There's a bunch of you guys that kept adding while the stock was down. Bravo on you, Clay. Bravo on you. Grim Reaper. Hey, Jeff, how are you? Keith, hello. T. Alex, hi, William and everyone. Pat M, good afternoon, all. Marty Party, afternoon, William. Ricky Brogan, I did turn it back on. Hello, William and everyone. Wall Street, Wolfie, 6470. Back to ridicule, 33 cents. Woo! But he wants you to invest in AME. Keep pouring that money down there so they can keep churning. They can keep mining your money out of AME and GMC. They just keep mining it out. Stop listening to these stories. Akira Nova, hello everyone. William and Company. Wall Street Wolfie, I adopted a dog. I hope she's a good luck charm as I'm down more than 90%. I don't buy it. I think you're one of the shorts. But if you are down 90%, I'll just use an example. Let's say you find yourself down $400,000 or by listening to the Charm Boys, but also by not trading correctly, which is impossible to do. You can only look backwards and say, I should have done that. It's very hard. So let's say you're down 400 grand. And let's say you're left with, 40 grand. And what you're doing is you're spreading your stock, day trading, and you're going to hit one of these AME or GMC or what are the stocks I just read to you? GDC or Nixie or GNS or you get the idea. GTII. These are all going to make your money back. No, they're not. So my suggestion to you, if you've got the income to stand it, and if you can ride out waiting, although I think it's going to happen quickly, but you've got to have the resilience, the adaptability, to make it through what the criminals do. But anyway, I mean, let's say you're down to 30, whatever the price is today, 35 cents. So call it 35,000. But you've lost 400,000. Well, if you liquidate all these other buckets, all these other squishy, squashy, rotten fruit investments that are in the same basket, get rid of them all and get into this young fruit that's just dropped off of the tree, but it's about to ripen, and then you can plant it and it'll grow in its separate planter. So if you buy 100,000 shares of Railtown and you lost, let's say, $400,000, and the stock goes to an equivalent valuation, roughly, of Langchain, last year's valuation, a lesser product, in my opinion. Let's say it goes to $5. You got $500,000, and you've made back your 90% losses. But yeah, you gotta be back in taking some measured risk. But I think Railtown isn't a penny stock. It's priced this way, but Railtown is a combination of two fortuitous events. One is the company got started early. They needed money, they went public. If it were private right now, you wouldn't have a chance to buy it. And the other thing is they came down to the US markets to raise money because they needed money, but then ChatGPT came out. It turns out they could get along with less money, and now they're riding the wave. They didn't sign a toxic note. So all the criminals that are printing shares, they don't have something to back it up. So it's a good opportunity. I don't think the stock is a penny stock. I mean, if you're a literal thinker, obviously it trades under $1, but I don't think it belongs at this price. So that's just my solution for you. But you do what you will. Jason, hello team. Steve, hi Uncle Bill, go Team USA. Women's hockey. I didn't know there was such a thing. Do they lose teeth? Women's hockey, wow. I know men's hockey won something. Let's see how women's hockey's doing. Women's hockey USA. Oh, they're gold. They won the gold. How many people watched? Donna. Hello, William and everyone. Hi, Donna. Team USA just tied it with 2 minutes left in the game. Steve says, hi, Donna. And she says, that's great. Overtime just started. Silver skyrocket. Steve says, USA, 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 USA. There's 39.78 million likes on the website that I'm looking at for the score. Women's tournament. It's almost 40 million likes. I think, well, I don't know. M might mean 1,000, I suppose. But good for them. That's great news. All right, so I got through your comments. I talked about our 18 million shares, which is fantastic. And it's 4:10, and I really have to go in 4 or 5 minutes. So um, I'll try to do better tomorrow. But I guess one thing I want to get across is I don't think there's much more waiting time on Railtown. I'd love to hear what. I'll try to get some feedback from the guy that sent that, because if AI models can build their own models better, can Railtown fall behind? That's the one thing that scares me. But what I'm hoping the answer is AI models will incorporate Railtown, and then it's a licensing, it's a revenue deal. But anyway, I'll try to get an answer to that maybe tonight. But I do think Railtown's what's going to give you a chance to build an account that can earn income and make you allow you to survive the changes coming ahead. I'm not sure that AI can do everything, of course. Remember what Jimmy Rogers always said: in the future, stockbrokers will drive taxi cabs, wealth advisors, and farmers will drive Maseratis. I can't imagine that robots can replace farming. Maybe, maybe, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe that's what universal income will come in. I don't know. It's a lot to absorb. So the one thing you can control is get rid of the crap you don't need. Get out of debt as much as possible, reduce your expenses, and try to build up your financial resilience, which at some point here, I think is going to be having some hard assets, having things whatever it is, whatever your knowledge base is. But it could also be income from things like mining and oil and gas. I think that might be important. Ricky says RT is a once in a lifetime investment. Ricky, I couldn't say it better. That's what I've been going on about I brought it up, I guess, maybe 15, 16, 17 months ago. And I liked it then as a trade. But it was in June. So I don't know what that is. That's I'm terrible at arithmetic. That's 6 months, 7 months plus 2 is 9 months. That's my belief for 9 months. And I have it stronger and stronger every time I study it. I think it's the IP. I think it's because they started early. I think it's the proof of concept on top of TELUS and on top of Uniserve. But I also truly believe they have an end-to-end, I just read to you using that phrase, platform that nobody else has. And they have Rail Engine, as Ward keeps pointing out. So I agree with you, Ricky, 100%. 100%. Let's just make sure nothing happened. I can't believe that's great for USA. The prince is out of jail, so he'll be flying to the Middle East, I'm sure. It's raining out. Darn it! I gotta go walk. I think Trump is picking Marco Rubio. It's all about war. All about war. Yeah, it looks like we're okay. One more day on war. All right, Mad Greek. Mad Greek, yay. I love it. Each day we can add a little bit. One of these days, you guys are going to be adding a lot. It'll be new people, I hope. I've never poached into somebody else's spaces or audience. I've never done it. Maybe I should to get more people buying, but doesn't feel right. Mad Greek added 5729. Awesome. Ricky Brogan, thanks for sharing RT to us. Bought my first shares December 9th of 24. That's interesting. I don't have a list, but that's right around when I bought. I think I paid 38 or 39 cents. Does that sound right? I don't think I paid 42, but it was something like that, right in that range. And that, if I had waited, I could have doubled my position. But, you can only tell that in retrospect. You never know it. But yeah, that's when I think it was September or October of that year when I first heard about it. And we talked about it a bit, quite a bit. But it was so much simpler as a story then to me. And it only got better and better and better. So, all right, if you guys excuse me, let me see what somebody's saying. Rail Bulldown Aficionado, do you think longs are impending a volumetric set of buys for Railtown in the next week? Did you write that or did a computer write that? No, I don't think there's a volumetric set of buys. I don't know what you mean. It sounds so computerese what you're saying. But do I think at some point in the near future, when the restriction, which is either placed by contract or by following securities laws, the restriction on many in the know and many insiders with money and many that don't know yet because their broker firm can't tell them yet, when that material inside information fog gets removed, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of buying. I don't think the buying is going to make it, it always could, you never know, but I don't think it's going to make it go straight up. I think it's going to be kind of a stutter step as it goes to previous highs and then breaks out and pulls back, goes up. Why? Because a lot of the big buyers are not going to buy under $1, under $2, under $3, under $4, under $5. $5 is a systemic, institutionalized, marked in stone by attorneys and by compliance and by the big firms, where there's no buying below $5 that matters. So there will be some. It'll just be exceptions to the the investment committee rules or to the organization rules. But as it crosses $5 and $6, I think you will see what you're talking about. I think once it crosses 5 or 6, it could be $15 in a week, or something like $15, 12, 10. because all the people that and institutions that can't buy below 5, once it's above there, they can start buying, and then it's a different story. That's when it'll happen. Until then, they're up. The computers can still mine the stock for money. I meant a high volume of buy orders. Yeah, the way you wrote it, I thought you meant computerized. I don't see that happening, but I do think, again, you're waiting for apparently some sort of blockade, prohibition against buying, which has been caused by some set of material non-public information that has caused large institutions, small institutions, insiders, research firms, brokers, trading desks, mutual funds, venture capital firms who understand the story, who maybe signed an NDA or a standstill agreement to not be able to buy the stock. People that don't know the story have plenty on their plate, plenty. And so it's not filtering up to them because their brokerage firms haven't put a research report out and haven't been able to tell them. Once that breaks, and my guess it'll happen before St. Patrick's Day, because there's a conference going on, the Good Till Canceled conference, NVIDIA, on right around St. Patrick's Day, and TELUS will be there, and I think TELUS has to get their motor running if they're going to meet their targets they've already talked about. And you don't want to give up on the first quarter if you're trying to hit goals in 2026. So maybe Rail Engine got finished according to the releases of the monthly updates at the Canadian Stock Exchange. They finished it at the end of January. Maybe the last 2 weeks they've been installing it or testing it. I don't know. But at some point it's going to be time for TELUS to get their motor running. And I bet they're going to want to talk about it at that conference. And I bet NVIDIA is going to want them to talk about it because they're both betting at least part of their future on this concept of developing software away from Donald Trump. Sovereign AI. And if they want to talk about it at that conference, they've got to release whatever that news is. If the news is a TELUS thing, I don't even know what it is. But anyway, once research reports come out, once whatever you want to call it, institutional, or if you want to call it wealth advisors or PE firms can start buying, I think you're going to see some volume pickup. They just did a financing, which takes them all the way to revenue, because revenue is going to start once the TELUS motors start running. Revenue is going to start for Railtown, in my opinion, in a big way, and it's going to be monthly. And then in 2 weeks, they've got these warrants that are all going to be exercised. That's equivalent to the funding they just did. They have all the money they need. So at some point, as people call them and say, hey, we want to invest, those people are going to have to buy the stock. Anyway, I think there will come a time where there's a lot of buying. It just doesn't seem the way you asked me, I thought you meant computerized. I don't think it'll be computerized. I think I mean, big institutions use computers to buy, but I think it's going to be real buying. I don't think it's going to be, you know, day trading money. That would cause price to have bigly jumps and gaps going up. Look, I don't want people thinking about this as a day trade. Yes, it's possible the stock could have leaps and bounds in its price at some point, but that's not why I'm recommending people hold the stock, add to positions, buy it. Yes, I think that's going to happen at some point. I don't think it's going to be right now, though, but who knows? Who knows? Could be, you know, could be. Matt Greek, I'm interested in the other venture, but cash is low. Roadhouse, I know. Well, we'll, Matt Greek, I can't remember your email, but you can send it to me and I'll keep you up to date. If it all works, there'll be stages, you know, so we'll get through it. I've got to run because I'm not gonna get there in time. It's almost 4:30. So Rail Bull Town Aficionado, yes, at some point. I just don't think it's gonna happen, you know, just right now, but it could. Hey Ward, I see blue skies. Blue days, all of them gone. Nothing but blue skies from now on. All right, Ward, I've got to go. I warned everybody, so I have to go. I did quote you, I think. And let me ask you something, Ward. You can answer it later at your leisure. But if AI is creating new AI and it's accelerating, so AI is creating itself, can it out-create Railtown? Or does Railtown get incorporated? Anyway, but I have to go, everybody. So peace to each of you. Tomorrow we'll talk more and say hi to your puppy dogs.